How long do foods stay in your stomach? Have you ever wondered what happens to the food you eat after it disappears down your throat? It's a fascinating process that involves a complex journey through the different parts of your digestive system. One of the most crucial stops on this journey is the stomach, where food is broken down and prepared for further digestion and absorption. But have you ever thought about how long different foods stay in your stomach before moving on to the next phase? The time that food spends in your stomach can vary greatly depending on the type of food you consume, as well as other factors like your age, gender, and overall health. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the world of gastric emptying times, exploring how long various foods stay in your stomach and the factors that influence this process. We'll also discuss the implications of these differences and provide practical tips for optimizing your digestion and overall well-being. The role of the stomach in digestion. Before we delve into the specifics of gastric emptying times, it's important to understand the role that the stomach plays in the digestive process. The stomach is a muscular, J-shaped pouch located in the upper left part of the abdomen, just below the ribs. Its primary functions are two. 1. Store and break down food. The stomach acts as a temporary storage facility for the food you consume, holding it until it can be further broken down and gradually released into the small intestine for absorption. 2. Churn and mix food. The powerful muscular contractions of the stomach walls help to churn and mix the food with digestive enzymes and stomach acids, breaking down larger particles and preparing the food for the next stage of digestion. 3. Regulate the release of food into the small intestine. The stomach controls the release of partially digested food, known as chyme, into the small intestine through a process called gastric emptying. This process is carefully regulated to ensure that the small intestine is not overwhelmed with too much food at once. Factors affecting gastric emptying times. Before we dive into the specific gastric emptying times for different foods, it's important to understand the various factors that can influence how long food stays in your stomach. These factors include 1. Food composition. The macronutrient composition of a food, that is, the amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fats it contains, plays a significant role in determining its gastric emptying time. Generally, foods higher in protein and fats tend to stay in the stomach longer than those higher in carbohydrates. 2. Food texture and consistency. Solid foods tend to stay in the stomach longer than liquids or semi-solid foods, as they require more time and effort to break down into smaller particles before they can be released into the small intestine. 3. Meal size and volume. Larger meals and greater volumes of food generally take longer to leave the stomach, as the stomach needs more time to process and break down the larger quantity of food. 4. Age and gender. As we age, our digestive system may slow down, leading to longer gastric emptying times. Additionally, gastric emptying rates can vary slightly between men and women, with women generally having slower rates than men. 5. Medications and medical conditions. Certain medications, such as antidepressants, opioids, and some diabetes medications, can slow down gastric emptying. Similarly, medical conditions like gastroparesis, delayed gastric emptying, diabetes, and certain neurological disorders can also impact how quickly food leaves the stomach. Now that we've explored some of the key factors that can influence gastric emptying times, let's dive into the specific time frames for different types of foods. Gastric emptying times for different foods. 1. Liquids and clear fluids. Liquids and clear fluids, such as water, broth, and juices, have the fastest gastric emptying times, typically leaving the stomach within 15–20 minutes. The reason for this rapid transit is that liquids require minimal digestion and can easily pass through the stomach's pyloric sphincter, the muscular valve that regulates the release of food into the small intestine. 2. Simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates, like those found in sugary snacks, white bread, and other refined grains, also tend to have relatively fast gastric emptying times. These foods can leave the stomach within 1–2 hours, as they are easily broken down and digested by the body. 3. Complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates, such as those found in whole grains, legumes, and starchy vegetables, take longer to digest and leave the stomach. These foods can remain in the stomach for 2-3 hours, as the body needs more time to break down their complex molecular structures. 4. Proteins. Protein-rich foods, like meat, fish, eggs, and dairy products, generally have longer gastric emptying times compared to carbohydrates. These foods can stay in the stomach for 3-4 hours, as they require more time and effort to be broken down into their smaller components, amino acids, before they can be absorbed by the body. 5. Fats. Foods high in fat, such as fatty cuts of meat, fried foods, and high-fat dairy products, tend to have the longest gastric emptying times. These foods can remain in the stomach for 4-6 hours or even longer, as fats are more difficult for the body to break down and digest. 6. Fiber-rich foods. Foods that are high in fiber, like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, can also take longer to leave the stomach. The insoluble fiber found in these foods can slow down gastric emptying and prolong the time it takes for the food to move through the digestive system. Implications of gastric emptying times. Understanding gastric emptying times and how different foods affect this process can have important implications for your overall health and well-being. Here are some key considerations. 1. Digestion and nutrient absorption. The rate at which food leaves the stomach can impact the efficiency of digestion and nutrient absorption. If food moves through the stomach too quickly, there may be insufficient time for proper breakdown and absorption of essential nutrients. On the other hand, if food stays in the stomach for too long, it can lead to discomfort, bloating, and potentially delayed nutrient absorption. 2. Blood sugar regulation. For individuals with diabetes or those at risk for developing the condition, paying attention to gastric emptying times can be particularly important. Foods that are quickly digested and absorbed can cause rapid spikes in blood sugar levels, while slower digesting foods can help maintain more stable blood sugar levels over time. 3. Satiety and weight management. The time it takes for food to leave the stomach can also influence feelings of satiety, fullness, and hunger. Foods that stay in the stomach longer tend to promote a greater sense of fullness and satisfaction, which can aid in portion control and weight management. Conversely, foods that are quickly digested and emptied from the stomach may leave you feeling hungry again sooner. 4. Digestive discomfort and gastrointestinal issues. Knowing which foods tend to stay in the stomach longer can be helpful for individuals who experience digestive discomfort or gastrointestinal issues like bloating, heartburn, or indigestion. By adjusting their diets to include more easily digestible foods or spacing out their meals, they may be able to alleviate some of these symptoms.